Ladies and gentlemen, and Pokemon fans of the world, Crasher Chase is back, and allow me to introduce to you to yet another Pokemon X and Y analysis video featuring Pyroar. And before I get into things like its typing ability and stats, just take a look at how awesome this Pokemon looks. Like, like I waited so long for Pokemon to create like a lion like Pokemon, and they finally did it. And its design is incredible. The design on the left is that of a male, while the design on the right resembles a female. So that's enough about that. It's time to look at its typing ability and stats. So with Pyroar, it gets a very, very interesting typing, that being of fire and normal, and it's a first of its kind, and it's kind of a good and bad thing. It's good in the sense that you're immune to ghost type moves, however, you're weak to the very, very, very lethal priority move known as Mach Punch, so please use Pyroar with caution. As for its abilities, it gets three of them. The first one is Rivalry, and this is a pretty interesting ability. And what this is if you're facing a Pokemon of the same gender, your move powers increase by 25%, but if you're faced off with an opposite gender, it decreases by 25%. And if you're faced with a genderless Pokemon, it's not affected. So it's kind of like almost like a gimmicky ability in my opinion, but that's just me. The second ability it has is known as Unnerve, and what this is basically it makes your opponents too nervous to eat their berries. So if you're faced off against a Pokemon who relies on like Sub Pataya, Sub Lychee, or Sub Salic, uh, they're not going to be able to eat their pinch berries because they're too nervous to eat them with this ability. And I think it's actually pretty cool. And its hidden ability is known as Moxie, which is really good. And what this is each time that you knock out a Pokemon, your attack goes up by one stage. And normally, this would be a superior ability over the other two. However, looking at its stats, while it has a really respectable base 86 HP, its attack is kind of abysmal at base 68. Its defense is not that bad at base 72, but its special attack is base 109. So clearly, this Pokemon is meant to more or less be a special attacker than a physical attacker. Its special defenses are kind of bad at 66, but its speed is at a very, very unique 106, and I believe this makes Pyroar one of the fastest fire type Pokemon that there is, and I think that's pretty special. So now that we have this out of the way, I have a couple sets for you. Let's do this. So with this first set here, we're actually going to make use out of its ability known as Rivalry. And while I said that it was a rather gimmicky ability, it could actually work if you think about it. So the nature we're going to be giving it, you can either give it a modest or a timid nature, which again, modest boosts your special attack while timid boosts your speed. Again, whatever your preference is, that's cool. The ability, as I stated, Rivalry. The item for choice, we're going to be using Leftovers to regain HP at the end of each turn and increase your chance of survivability. The EV spread, real basic. 4 are going to go into HP, 252 into special attack, and 252 into speed, making you as speedy and offensively powerful as possible. Now the move set, we have Attract and Substitute, and this right here is what pretty much makes this set. Basically, how this works is if you're faced off with an opposite gendered Pokemon, you're going to use Attract, and what this basically does is it renders your Pokemon incapable of attacking at 50% of the time. So this could be quite the annoyer here. After you attract your opponent, you hide behind a substitute, hoping that they will be immobilized, and from there you can just start firing off shots with your two offensive moves known as Hyper Voice and Flamethrower, both of which are stab and very, very powerful. Now, some moves to consider, I have a couple of them. If you're not looking for the whole uh, substitute thing, or if you're not like down with it, you can go with Will-O-Wisp to burn your opponent while still having them somewhat incapable of attacking you, which can be quite problematic in my opinion. And the next move that we have is known as Dark Pulse. And the reason I throw this in there is because if you're faced with a Pokemon with the likes of Chandelure, Chandelure with Flash Fire completely walls this set. So Dark Pulse is a good alternative over Hyper Voice if you're looking for better coverage. But that's all I have for this set. It's time to move on to the next one. So before I get into this set, I just wanted to say that earlier, um, while I said that Pyroar's base 68 physical attack wasn't really all that impressive, I decided, you know what? We're going to try and make use of its physical attack as well as the ability Moxie, and it could be quite the surprise for your opponents. So the nature we're going to be giving it is a naive nature to lower your special defense and increase your speed. And why that is because you want to have as much natural physical bulk as possible. Due to the use of priority moves being mainly physical, the natural bulk on the physical defensive side will help in taking hits from that side if you were to ever face off against priority users. Now, the ability we have is Moxie, as I have just stated, actually. And in case you forgot, what Moxie does is whenever you knock out your opponent, your physical attack increases by one stage, which, as I said, is an excellent ability to have, especially for those who have the physical attack to back it up. The item for choice is Life Orb, and why that is you want to dish out as much damage as possible, especially for the knockout and the Moxie boost. Now the EV spread, we have 128 going to attack, 128 into special attack, and 252 into speed. As for the move set, we have Flamethrower being a very good fire type move that's accurate and very powerful. Hyper Voice being a very powerful normal type move, and Flamethrower and Hyper Voice get same type attack bonus, aka stab. And the next two moves are Crunch and Wild Charge. And with all four of these moves, you have really, really good coverage. Crunch is a physical move that deals dark type damage, while Wild Charge is an electric type physical move that that packs quite the wallop. Now, some moves to consider. Wait, there aren't any. And you're probably wondering, what the hell? Why aren't there any moves to consider? Well, this set here kind of speaks for itself. It's meant to be fully offensive, and the moves that it would have to consider would mostly be support moves, and that's kind of counterproductive for a fully offensive set like this one. So that pretty much wraps up this set. I actually have one more for you, so please stay tuned. So with this move set here, we're going to be turning Pyroar into a weather support slash attempt sweeper. The nature we're going to be giving it is a timid nature to make it as fast as possible. The ability we're going to be giving it is Unnerve, which basically negates your opponents from consuming their berries. The item we have is known as Heat Rock, and that basically increases the amount of turns that weather is on the field. And this goes with Sunny Day users. The EV spread, 4 going to go into HP, 252 into special attack, and 252 into speed. As for the move set, the first one is going to be Sunny Day, which goes very well with Heat Rock, as it boosts the turns from 5 to, I think, 8. I'm not sure if the weather mechanics have changed in that regard since Black and White. I do know that uh, Pokemon who have the ability to summon uh, weather has had their abilities nerfed big time, and their weather only lasts 5 turns. So uh, the elemental rocks are actually a very good item in this situation if your team is built around weather support. The next move that we have is known as Flamethrower, which not only is stab, but gets a Sunny Day boost, and that will hit much, much harder. The other move we have is Hyper Voice because it is stab and it's very powerful. And the next move we have is Solar Beam, in which is very, very, very powerful. And it's normally a 2 turn move, but in this situation where you have Sunny Day, you do not need to charge up, and you can just start firing off Solar Beams to Pokemon that are weak to grass types that would otherwise threaten Pyroar. Um, Moves to consider. We have Dark Pulse, and if you want more coverage, then I would opt out Hyper Voice for Dark Pulse. However, that's going to leave you very, very, very vulnerable to the likes of Houndoom, so please keep that in mind. And the next move to consider is Fire Blast, for it is a less accurate but more powerful version of Flamethrower, and it also has less power points, so please keep that in mind too. Flamethrower is the best option for it has more power points and perfect accuracy. And I also forgot, it completely slipped my mind. In the last move set that I had for you with the Moxie mixed offensive set, a move to consider would be Fire Blast, uh, which increases the likelihood for a potential knockout. So please disregard the NA and consider Fire Blast because it's a good alternative for, like I said, increasing the likelihood of securing one-hit knockouts or whatever. So that basically wraps up this set and this video. I hope you guys have a good day, and I will come at you with yet another upload later on tonight. Peace!